Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a former college quarterback and pitcher turned overthinker. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the New York Mets. Oh boy, what a swing of the pendulum it has been over the past week or so. From the highest of the highs to some serious struggles. So we'll break down the series against the Giants out in San Francisco, the homestand where we hosted the Cardinals of St. Louis and the Cubs of Chicago, and we'll take a look ahead at the upcoming series against the Tampa Bay Rays. So without further ado, let us get it started up in here. All right, the New York Mets. Some say we're one of the hottest teams in baseball, and we cooled off big time. After the Dodgers series, where we take 2 of 3, we get thumped on that Sunday. We go to San Francisco, and we lose 2 of 3. We drop 2 of 3. Jose Quintana in the first game of the series had command issues. We ended up losing 5-2. We only had four hits offensively. Alonso and Marte were providing most of the offense there. Keaton Winn, who came into the game with a 1-3 record and an ERA over 4, kept us in check. Were our heads getting too big? Possibly. Rolling to game 2, Luis Severino, who could be our best pitcher right now, some are saying. Went into that game 2-1, 2.14 ERA against Logan Webb, 2-1, 2.93 ERA. This was a toss-up. We ended up losing 5-1. Drew Smith is the worst. He stinks, and now he's on the IL. Man, I would dangle him at the trade deadline hard. He's one of the only few or only relief pitchers we have out of the bullpen that is just completely unreliable at this point. Lindor didn't help things. 0 for 4, 2 Ks. Marte stayed hot, 3 for 4. And then we go into the final game of that series. I think it was a day game. The bats broke out big time. Menea's on the bump. We were going against Blake Snell, who was 0-3, an ERA of almost 12, and we put the hurt, made him squirt. 8-2 win. Menea only goes 4 2/3, which that seems to be his, he can't get through 5. He just can't do it. But luckily, we have one of the best bullpens in baseball. Can't believe I'm actually saying that. And he got picked up by Ottavino, Garrett, and Diaz to close it out. Lindor broke out. 4 for 5, 4 ribbies, 2 home runs. Tyrone Taylor, who is one of the more underrated players on the team in terms of productivity and contributions, in my opinion. 2 for 5, 3 ribbies, and a home run. So, let's try and mix him into we got a good outfield. I know that was a big question mark coming into the season, but DJ Stewart's still continuing to play well. Marte is staying healthy for the most part. I mean, he was just recently in bereavement, so he's missed a few games. Harrison Bader, I had my doubts about him, but offensively, I think he's turned it around. Nimmo's awesome. Tyrone Taylor's awesome. So we have 5 solid outfielders. Infielders are a little bit of a different bag, which we'll get to. So we lose 2 of 3 to San Fran. We come home. We host the St. Louis Cardinals. Jose Buto on the bump, 1.65 ERA going into that game. We're going up against Miles Mikolas, 1-3, 6.49 ERA. And I'm thinking to myself, we're gonna feast. We're coming up. We're feeling ourselves. 8-2 win. We broke out offensively. Bats are hot. We're going against a Cardinals team who has one of the worst offenses in the league. Despite having Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, and yet we come away with the 4-2 loss. Buto went 5 2/3, allowed only 4 hits, but 4 earned runs. Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil, Harrison Bader, all offers. JD Martinez, this was his debut. Wearing number 28, and pretty solid effort, pretty solid first outing. 2 for 4, 1 ribby. I mean, that ball was so close to getting out of the ballpark. Went off the top of the fence. And but he also did have 2 strikeouts. So I feel like that's going to be a running theme. I don't know if that's I hope that's not, running theme where it's like, oh, this is what we're going to get. We're going to get a couple strikeouts per game, but we're also going to get a big hit per game. Are you going to take those 2 Ks knowing that you're going to get a ribby later on in the game? I don't know. Jorge Lopez did a pretty decent job of keeping us in the contest. Tomas Nido got a home run, but Alonso went 0 for 4 with a K. Seems like anytime we had any kind of momentum going or a rally, some of our bigger name players weren't coming through in the clutch. So that sucks. Thought we would take that one. This next one I already chalked up as a loss, just looking at the probables. Adrian Houser, who came to that game 0-2 with a 7.45 ERA, going up against Sonny Gray, who's one of the best, 2-1 record, 1.04 ERA. Looked like it was going to be a blowout. Turns out to be a 7-4 loss. We did fight back and show some grit, resilience towards the end, but Houser just flat out stinks. 4 1/3, 6 earned, allowed 4 in the first inning alone. Lindor back to his struggling ways, 0 for 5, 4 Ks. Ouch. That was one of his probably one of the roughest nights he's ever had as a professional. JD Martinez, 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts. So feels like we'll get a hit, but the rest will just be all strikeouts. It's like, okay. McNeil, 0 for 4, 2 Ks. So those are the guys that were struggling a bit. Nimmo, not struggling, 2 for 4, 2 ribbies. And Alonso, 2 ribbies with a ding-dong. So they came to play, kept us in the game. But again, when it counted, guys like McNeil, Martinez, and Lindor just couldn't come through. So in 3 of Hauser's starts, the Mets' win expectancy was under 10% when he departed the game. That has happened to the rest of the rotation 3 times combined. So the other 4 or 5 starting pitchers we've thrown out there, 3 total amongst them, Adrian Houser equal to that number. So I honestly don't know what you do with Houser. I mean, there's talks about they're going to try and introduce a 6th starter, kind of like what they did last year because Kodai needed that extra day of rest, supposedly. So I guess now you need a 6th and a 7th starter? Or no, now you need a 5th and a 6th starter because Houser ain't it. I don't even know what you do here. If he continues to have, I mean, this is a really brutal stretch. And it's one of those guys that I don't think I talk much about him much. I didn't really talk about him that much, in the off season, but it's been awful for the most part. I mean, he's had 2 good starts, I'd say. Yeah, he had 2 good starts, 2 of 5 good starts. But man, those 3 losses, they've been awful. In his 2 good starts, he's 1-1. There was that extra innings loss to the Tigers back at the beginning of the season. And his other good start was against Pittsburgh, where he got the win, his only win. 5 1/3, 2 hits, 2 runs, 5 walks, 5 Ks. The extra innings loss to the Tigers, he went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 3 Ks. His 3 losses, though, this is where it gets ugly. 5 in a 6-5 loss to the Braves. 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 K, 2 hit by pitch. So that was a game where the bullpen really carried us, for us, allowing us to come back and win that game. And then in the 10-0 thumping that I talked about against the Dodgers on that Sunday, 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 8 runs, all of them earned, 4 walks, 3 Ks, and a home run. And then this 7-4 loss to the Cardinals this past weekend, 4 1/3, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. So, I mean, more times than not, it looks like he's just getting shelled. He just can't get out of his own way. So I don't know. I think that's probably the biggest concern. I mean, we talked about it last week where one of the biggest concerns was how deep the starters are going. And we're going to get to that because, up until I'd say the last 2 games of the Cardinals series, the last game of the Cardinals series and the first game of the Cubs series, it was like, man, our starters just can't make it through 5. And boy, they must have been listening because did they come out in full force? Jose Quintana goes 8 innings pitched. 8. I thought it was hallucinating. I had to check my pulse. I was like, oh, I guess this is what you see before you die. or 1 year dying. Cool. 8 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run. He became the first Mets starter to pitch the 7th inning this season, and then he went out and finished the 8th to boot. He struggled with deep counts in his first 5 starts. Yeah, I mean, it's like every count was going full when he's in the bump. And then he only went to 3 balls on just 3 of 29 hitters and recorded 24 outs and 99 pitches. Damn. And, I think everyone and their mother, mine included, thought that when Mendoza went out for the visit, in the 8th, when they got a runner on, we're like, oh, that's night over. Let's warm up the hands and give him a nice little standing ovation and, go ice up, get in the tub, hit the showers. No, Mendoza talked to him and was like, hey, you're dealing. Your pitch count's a little high, especially for April, right? You don't want to get too high in April, even though 420 is in April. So I bet he was like, hey, what do you think? I'm inclined to take you out, but what do you got? What do you got in the tank? And Quintana is like, still standing, still here. So very cool, Mendoza, to let that happen. Interesting that we didn't see something similar with Severino the next night, which we'll get to. But a 4-2 win in 11 innings. And this looked like it was going to be another classic Mets loss. We were down 2-1, right? Going into that final inning. And it was backbreaking what happened to us to get us to that point. But Nito, Tyrone Taylor, and Brandon Nimmo struggled. Lindor was 1 for 3 with a home run. It was pretty much our only offense for the majority of the game until that 11th inning. Skews the 11th inning. Bader went 2 for 5 with that big RBI up there swinging. He's like, I'm not taking any pitches, dude. I'm hacking. And pitcher made a mistake up. Bader knocked it up the middle, scores a run. And then Mark Vientos has a 2-run walk-off home run. And boy, was he fired up, and rightfully so. So that was a huge win because you avoid the sweep against a team that you thought you were going to play better against. And it kind of rejuvenates the ball club. And, because things were not, we lost 4 of 5. Oh, now we lost 6 of 8. So it's like we're on the slide, on the decline. And so it's that I feel like that's going to be the story of the season, is like a lot of winnable games, but we're like a 500 ball club, but it's interesting that it feels like it's not the same, we're definitely not the 2023 Mets. We are more like the 2022 Mets than we are the 2023 Mets, but there's still some 2023 Mets hangover, bad habits that are continuing into the season so far. So, but I mean, it boggles your mind that you can have this offense just shut her down, just like 3 hits, 4 hits, no runs, offers, multiple strike. Like it just doesn't. I didn't think that we had that in us, and I thought that was just an illusion last year. But it's like kind of carried over to this year. But I do still like this roster, and I still like the offense for the most part. Like, good to have JD Martinez in the mix. When Marte has returned back to the team, it didn't play today, but it's good to have him back. DJ Stewart, we'll get to him. Like that's a great bat to have. Just a lot of flexibility and a lot of good players. It's just it's kind of tweaks my nards that we're 500 ball club right now. Just feels like we're better than that, but it's for whatever reason we just hit like I don't know what it is. It's infectious sometimes how cold they can get, and especially against pitchers that they shouldn't struggle against. I don't know. So we lose 2 of 3 to the Giants. We lose 2 of 3 to the Cards, and then we got the Cubbies coming into town. Luis Severino says, "Hey Quintana, I see you, and I match. I call. I don't raise. I call. Jesus, Neil, play cards much?" So the Cubs came into this series. They dropped 2 of 3 in Boston over the weekend. Their 17-11 record was a half game behind the Brewers for first in the NL Central. So, I think the Cubs are they're going to be neck and neck with the Brewers pretty much all season. You would think there's a lot of positivity going on in Chicago. I'd say that, but Severino sees what Quintana's doing, is like, whatever you can do, I can do better, but not quite. Going up against his old teammate, Jamison Tyone, who was 2-0 with a 1.69 ERA. So, right off the bat, I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe we'll drop this one and then we'll hopefully pray for the best for the rest of the series. But 3-1 loss. Solo run came on a solo home run from Brandon Nimmo. His first pitch of the game, first batter of the game, goes deep, and then that was that in terms of offense. But Severino does give us 8. I think it was 6 or 7 innings of no-hit ball. Goes 8, gives up a hit, 1 earned, 5 Ks. I think with Severino, Mendoza, interesting that 2 guys get on in the 8th, and Mendoza doesn't come out and get him, or at least check in on him. I disagreed with that. I really did, especially after Quintana goes 8. Like, your bullpen should be rested, right? They all got, for the most part, most of them got a night off, right? So let's go to that bullpen and let's get us a W, or at least give us a better chances. Edwin Diaz gives up the game-winning 2-run home run, the eventual what would be the game-winning 2-run home run. Shouldn't have happened. Joey Wendell stinks. He's in at third. Ground ball to him. He easily could have come home with it, got the out there, and then probably we continue with that 1-1 tie heading into extras, but no, he decides to go for the double play. We don't get it, and so they score. They tie it up, and then Diaz with the, there's a lot of talk about Diaz's velocity being down. I guess his average fastball is around 2 to 3 miles per hour slower than it usually is. He's usually at 98, 99, and now he's at 95, 96 in that area. I don't think that's really the problem. He's been pretty, with the exception of maybe his last outing against the Dodgers or the Giants. Was it the Giants or the Dodgers? It feels like he's not exactly 2022 Diaz, but he's also not 2019 Diaz, where it was just like, holy fuck, this guy can't get out of his own way. But there are he's not quite at that elite level that he was last year, but he's still, for the most part, a shutdown closer. It's just, here and there he's had some slip ups. So that sucked. 3-1 loss, especially given Severino's Herculean effort. And then tonight, Sean Manaea against Javier Assad, 4-2 win. DJ Stewart, because it's a 1-1 game, and DJ Stewart comes up and blasts a 3-run ding dong into the upper deck and right in the bottom of the 6th, put us up 4-1, and then we hold on after that. So Ottavino giving us some good innings. Was it Diekman or Reed Foley? I think Reed Foley gave us some good innings. Diekman maybe, but overall, that's a big win, a good win. And we have 2 more games left in the series. It will be Buto, whose ERA is still under 3, going up against Shota Imanaga, who's 4-0 with a sub-1 ERA. Shit, that's a loss. And then we wrap up the series with Adrian Houser against Ben Brown, who, from his numbers, doesn't look like he's all that great, but still better than Adrian Houser. So interesting to see how things play out. This was a big win. I know it's only April, and there's a lot of season to be played, but it's just they've done their best to not go into full on slump mode. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we lost 4 or 5, 6 of 8, but we're not getting swept, and there's a lot of fight, and as there should be. It's only April, but if we can split this series, I think that's a win. I think that's pretty good against the Cubs team that's probably going to go to the playoffs, I would think. And then we head out to Tampa Bay, where Quintana faces Aaron Savali, who doesn't look like he has that great an ERA over 5. He gets Severino, who's hot, red hot, against Zach Little, who's decent. And then Manaea against Ryan Pepiot, who is also looking okay. So I would think you got to at least take 1 of 3 there, right? And be good to get back to winning series, because we had won, was it 5 or 6 consecutive series, and now I think we've lost 2 in a row, and in danger of losing 3 in a row. So luckily we have one of the best bullpens in the friggin' league. Heading into, was it Sunday, we were tied with the Guardians for tops in the majors in reliever wins above replacement. Or what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And our pen owns the best strikeout rate, 4th best whip, and 6th best ERA in the big show. So yeah, I mean, I'll say this. Yeah, how sustainable can it be for our starters to only go 4 and some change? Not very sustainable. If our starters, what's so fucking outrageous is that was the main criticism heading into those that last game against the Cardinals and the first game against the Cubs was like, oh, these guys are, they're holding their own, but they like high pitch counts, deep into deep at bats, and we have to depend on a lot of our bullpen to get us to where we need to go. And then Quintana goes 8, we almost lose. Quintana goes 8, we do lose. Severino goes 8, we do lose. So it's like, Quintana goes 8 and we win, but it was, that was as close to a loss as you can get. And then Severino gives us 8 and loses as well. So it's like, shit, man. Starters did their job, and then the bats go quiet. It's just like, get on the same page, guys. 8 of our 14 wins have come in games where our win expectancy was 50% or worse when the bullpen entered the game. So it feels good. Feels damn good. I missed a stat here, didn't I? Yeah, Reed Garrett picked up his league-leading 5th win in that the walk-off by Vientos with a scoreless 10th inning that featured 2 more strikeouts to strand the go-ahead run at third. The last Mets reliever to earn 5 wins in the first 27 games of the season is also the last Mets reliever to win as many as 10 games in the season. I gotta look this up. Yeah, it doesn't say. Jesus. I gotta pee. It was Dennis Cook in 1999. I had a feeling it was Dennis Cook, to be honest. So, yeah. What an addition, man. So glad we have him. And the rest of the bullpen, with the exception of one Drew Smith, has been exceptional. And hopefully that continues. Just gotta, it's the starting pitching. Like, I guess Senga threw recently to hitters, faced like 5 batters or something like that over the weekend. So he should be coming back in May at some point, I think, maybe June. So when he comes back, that'll be a nice boost. Hopefully Minaya figures things out and it can get through 5. And Quintana and Severino, hopefully Quintana's gotten over his control issues and Severino just stays hot. Buto has been a revelation. Nice unexpected emergence. Tyler McGill should be coming off the IL soon. We'll see how he fares. I just Houser is like the big sore thumb sticking out there for rubbing people the wrong way. So I have again, it comes down to health, really. It really does come down to health. If they can just stay healthy, this team could go to the playoffs. I can see it in my mind's eye. Alvarez, though, out for 8 weeks. That fucking sucks because Narvaez stinks. At this point, I think Nito is better than Narvaez, which is like, that's crazy. So once we get Alvarez back, that'll be a nice jolt to the system. And we just got to avoid injuries. If we can just avoid injuries, I think we'll win more series than we'll lose. And then, hello, postseason. All right, well, that's the episode. Thanks again for all your loyalty and your support and your patronage. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Friend Finder, Adult Friend Finder, MySpace, campushook.com. I don't post anything on social anymore, so you don't have to follow me, whatever. Yeah, hopefully we'll get into some talk about Well, the schedule is going to be released soon. I guess either next week or the week after. So I'll respond to the schedule. There'll be more Mets talk, but hopefully I'll get into Fallout. I finished Fallout. Give my review of that. I believe X-Men 97 might be wrapped up by then, so I could give my review of that. I also watched Beekeeper, The Beekeeper. Pretty good flick with Jason Statham. I could do a review of that. And also Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Holy shit. Was that a hell of a movie? Give a review of that. But until next time, I got 2 words for you. Adios, muchachos.